I lean closer to my drafting table, tweaking the letter spacing on Mason and Brooke's engagement invitations for the third time. The afternoon light spills across my workspace, illuminating the metallic copper accents I've added to the design. Perfect. Almost perfect. My brother deserves nothing less. My phone buzzes against the oak surface, dancing dangerously close to my coffee mug. Mason's name lights up the screen, sending a reflexive smile to my lips. Parties this weekend. Guest list is super tight. Hope you understand. My hands freeze mid-adjustment. I read the message again, certain I've misunderstood. The delicate brush pen slips from my fingers, leaving an unwelcome streak across the sample invitation. What? I whisper to my empty apartment. My coffee mug tips as I reach for my phone, the dark liquid seeping into my sketches. I barely notice. Instead, my eyes fix on the framed photo beside my workspace, Mason grinning in his uniform, standing next to 3 large care packages I'd spent weeks assembling. The ones I'd stayed up all night packing so they'd make the military mail deadline. The ones I'd included his favorite homemade cookies in, despite having to work a deadline the next morning. The care packages he'd called a lifesaver during his deployment. My hands tremble as I dial my father's number. Monroe? Dad's voice comes through after 4 rings, distracted and slightly annoyed. Everything okay? Dad, Mason just texted me about some party this weekend, for his engagement. My voice sounds steadier than I feel. There must be some confusion. A beat of silence followed by a sigh. It's just a get-together, Monroe. Nothing formal. I press my fingers against the bridge of my nose. But I'm his sister. I've been working on their actual invitation designs all week. Look, honey, Dad's tone shifts to the dismissive one I know too well. It's a small thing at Brooke's parents' lake house. Don't make this a thing, okay? You know how your brother gets when everyone starts making demands. When I make demands. The unspoken accusation hangs between us. Right, I manage, my throat tightening. Of course. I hang up before he can hear the crack in my voice. The afternoon light feels colder now as I stare at my design work hours of unpaid labor for a brother who couldn't even be bothered to invite me to his pre-wedding celebration. My mind flashes to 6 months ago. The 3 a.m. call from Mason in Germany, desperate because his bank card had been compromised. I remember transferring him $2,000 from my carefully managed savings without hesitation. Emergency money he still hasn't repaid. I think about the 3 nights I spent designing their engagement announcement when Brooke decided she just wasn't feeling the professional one they'd paid for. How I'd missed my friend Diane's birthday dinner to finish it by their deadline. The 18 months of his deployment when I sent a care package every single month. When I checked in on Mom and Dad twice a week. When I helped Brooke move into their apartment so it would be ready when he returned. My phone pings again. My cousin Tara. Just got the evite for MB's party. You coming up to the lake this weekend? My stomach twists. Evite? I whisper. What evite? I type back. 3 dots appear, disappear, appear again. Then, oh, awkward. Thought you'd be there. It's at the Henderson's lake house. Looks like the whole crew is going. I ask her to forward it to me, a request met with uncomfortable delay before it arrives in my inbox. The screen glows with a cheerful nautical design. Join us for a lakeside engagement celebration. The details swim before my eyes, but one thing becomes unmistakably clear. This is no intimate gathering. The guest count, 120 plus. I scroll through names, recognizing Mason's work colleagues, distant cousins, Brooke's high school friends. Everyone, it seems, except me. My phone rings. Dad again. Your brother has his reasons, Monroe, he says before I can speak. Maybe he thought you'd be uncomfortable with so many people. You know how you get. How I get. My voice barely carries above a whisper. Just respect his decision. That's all I'm asking. After we hang up, I sit motionless, staring at my bank account on my laptop screen. Years of careful saving. Years of choosing family obligations over personal dreams. My cursor hovers over the Book Now button of the Aspen ski resort I've daydreamed about for years. The one I've put off visiting because someone more important ways needed me. Not anymore. I press Book Now. First class ticket. Mountain View Suite. 6-day stay. As the confirmation email arrives, I snap a photo of my passport beside my plane ticket confirmation. I upload it to Instagram with steady fingers. When you're not on the list, you make your own. The first-class cabin surrounds me with a quiet luxury I've never allowed myself to experience. Soft leather cradles my shoulders as I sip complimentary champagne, the bubbles dancing on my tongue. A strange cocktail of guilt and exhilaration floods my system stronger than the drink in my hand. Another? The flight attendant gestures to my nearly empty glass. Yes. The word emerges without hesitation, without the familiar mental calculation of whether I deserve the indulgence. Thank you. My apartment's rent for a month wouldn't cover this single flight, but 6 years of emergency funds sit untouched in my account. Emergency funds that were always available when Mason needed them. The seatbelt sign chimes off, and I breathe deeper than I have in years. The Mountain View suite at the Aspen Lodge makes my apartment look like a storage closet. Floor-to-ceiling windows frame snow-capped peaks, bathed in alpenglow that turns the white slopes to rose gold. The king bed could fit 4 of me. The bathroom gleams with marble I've only seen in design magazines. I stand before the mirror, barely recognizing the woman staring back. Her eyes hold a wildness I haven't seen before, part terror, part defiance. "Who are you?" I whisper to my reflection. My phone vibrates against the nightstand for the 12th time in an hour. Dad's name flashes on the screen, then disappears as I silence it. Mom's text already waits unread, along with 3 from Mason and 1 from Brooke. I place the phone face down without checking the messages. Whatever family fire needs extinguishing, they'll have to find another bucket. They said what? I clutch my coffee mug tighter as Tara's face fills my tablet screen the next morning. The lodge's breakfast nook offers privacy for video calls that would be impossible at the crowded communal tables. I wasn't supposed to hear it. Tara's voice drops. Brooke was talking to her sister in the bathroom. She said, and I quote, "We just thought Monroe would bring down the vibe." Then something about how you're always so serious and make everything into a big deal. The coffee turns bitter on my tongue. Bring down the vibe. Mason didn't defend you, Tara continues, her eyes darting away from the camera. He just nodded along. My phone pings with a text from Mom. "I'm sorry about all this, sweetheart, but you know how your father and brother get when they've made up their minds. I hope you understand." This isn't the first time, Tara adds, hesitating. Remember Thanksgiving at Uncle Pete's last year and Mason's homecoming celebration? What about them? But even as I ask, puzzle pieces click into place. The last-minute location changes, the vague invitations, the surprised looks when I showed up. They've been doing this for years, Monroe. I thought you knew. The realization settles like a stone in my stomach. I've been strategically uninvited from my own family for years. You've changed, May. Standing up for yourself for once. May's raspy voice fills my voicemail speaker as I prepare for my first skillison. I've lived too long to watch this nonsense. You call me when you're ready to talk. Until then, enjoy every minute of that mountain air. I slide the phone into my pocket with a smile I wasn't expecting to find today. First time on the slopes? My instructor, Kai, adjusts my boot bindings with practiced hands. His weathered face sports decades of laugh lines and a perpetual squint from years facing snow glare. First time doing anything just for me, I admit. He nods, understanding far more than I've said. Got yourself some good company then. By afternoon, I've joined a group of solo travelers at the lodge, a retired teacher from Vermont, a widower celebrating his birthday, a young woman escaping a breakup. They welcome me without questions about family or obligations. We share stories over hot chocolate as easily as if we've known each other for years. My phone remains silent in my pocket. For entire stretches, I forget it exists. The beginner's slope isn't much more than a gentle hill, but as I navigate down it without falling, triumph surges through me. The cold air stings my cheeks, and my laughter comes out as vapor clouds in the mountain air. My body remembers how to move without hesitation, how to lean into it rather than fight it. Not bad for day one, Kai calls from behind me. I spent my life making things easier for everyone else. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm finally learning to do the same for myself. The lodge's great room buzzes with après-ski energy. A stone fireplace throws heat and light across comfortable seating clusters, where new friendships form. I sink into a leather armchair, warming my hands around a mug of spiked cider, listening to Sophia's story about swimming with dolphins in Hawaii last summer. I realize with a start that my phone hasn't vibrated in hours. I pull it from my jacket, 15 missed calls and 32 unread messages. But instead of the familiar spike of anxiety, I feel only a curious detachment. Whatever crisis they're navigating, they're doing it without me. And they're surviving. And so am I. As the conversation around me swells with laughter, I snap a photo of the breathtaking mountain sunset visible through the windows. I post it to Instagram with steady fingers. Good morning to a new life. Have you ever had to step away from family obligations to discover who you really are? Share in the comments below if you've ever had to make the difficult choice between loyalty to others and loyalty to yourself. The fireplace crackles in the lodge's timber-framed lounge as I raise my mulled wine in a silent toast to myself. 3 days into my Aspen escape, and the knot that's lived between my shoulder blades for years has finally begun to loosen. My phone buzzes against the polished oak side table, then buzzes again, and again. When it vibrates for the 6th time in under a minute, curiosity wins. I set down my drink and pick up the device. 17 notifications. All from Tara. Sauce, complete meltdown happening. Call me now. I hesitate, fingers hovering over the screen. Part of me wants to silence it, to maintain this fragile peace I've found. But another part, the part that spent 3 decades witnessing my family's chaos from the front row, needs to know. I slip outside onto the deserted terrace where pristine snow reflects the resort's golden lights. Tara answers on the first ring, party noise exploding through the speaker. Oh my God, Monroe, you're missing drama. Her voice carries a mix of horror and delight. Mason's been flirting with Kelly Winters, you know, his high school girlfriend, for the past hour. Right in front of Brooke. What? The word forms a visible cloud in the mountain air. It started with reminiscing, then onto the arm, touching, and now they're huddled by the bar laughing, like they're the only 2 people here. I press my fingers against my temple. And Brooke just threw her champagne in his face, the entire glass, then stormed out screaming that the engagement is off. Despite everything, my stomach tightens. Old habits surface my mind, already calculating how to fix this, what words might smooth things over, how to salvage the party. Then I remember, I wasn't important enough to be invited. That's not even the worst part, Tara continues. Mason punched the wall after she left. Pretty sure he broke something in his hand. Your dad's losing ETH and Mason got into a shouting match in front of everyone. The bartender cut them both off, and the manager threatened to shut down the whole thing. I can picture it perfectly, Mason red-faced and belligerent, Dad making everything worse with his damage control that only damages. Mom wringing her hands in the corner, pretending nothing is happening. Grandma May is the real MVP though, Tara adds, lowering her voice. She walked right up to Mason, looked him dead in the eye, and said, I'm quoting exactly, "This is what happens when you cut out the only responsible adult in your life." The entire room went silent. A strange sensation bubbles up from my chest, something between a laugh and a sob. For 32 years, I've been the invisible support beam, the emergency contact, the 3 a.m. problem solver, the reliable one who's there for every crisis. Except this time, I'm not. I should go, I say finally. I signed up for a moonlight snowshoe hike. What? Monroe, did you hear what I said? Your brother is imploding, and Brooke just left with her bridesmaids. Everyone's looking for you. They know where I am, I say simply. Because I told them, on Instagram 3 days ago. I end the call and silence my phone completely. 10 minutes later, I'm crunching through pristine powder with 6 strangers and a guy named Ethan. The forest around us is silent except for our breathing and the soft compression of snow beneath our snowshoes. First time? Asks the woman beside me, Catherine from Toronto. I recall from introductions. At everything, I admit. First time snowshoeing, First time in Aspen. First time choosing myself over family drama. She laughs, a genuine sound that echoes among the pines. That last one's the hardest. The physical exertion burns my calves as we climb, my breath coming in visible puffs. Each step takes deliberate effort lift, place, press. No room for family anxiety when you're focused on not falling face first into a snowbank. Halfway up, Ethan pauses our group at a clearing. The valley spreads below us, lights twinkling like fallen stars. Above, the moon hangs full and impossibly bright against the black canvas of night. Take a moment, he says quietly. Sometimes we get so focused on the climb that we forget to look around. Something inside me breaks open at his words. A small, unexpected laugh escapes me, perhaps my first genuine one in years. Catherine smiles beside me, and two other hikers join in, our laughter rising like steam into the night sky. I am not responsible for fixing their mess. The thought arrives with such clarity that it stops my breath. All these years, I've been the safety net, the damage control specialist, the emotional support beam. But maybe, just maybe, my absence is exactly what they need. 3 hours later, muscles pleasantly aching from the hike, I return to my room and turn my phone back on. The notifications cascade like an avalanche. 14 texts from Mason, escalating from angry, "Where the hell are you?" to accusatory, "This wouldn't have happened if you were there," to desperate, "Please call, everything's a disaster." 8 missed calls from Dad, followed by a text that makes my jaw clench. "We needed you. You abandoned your family when it mattered most." 3 tearful voicemails from Mom, each ending with her signature line, "Please don't make this a thing, honey." 1 message from Brooke, sent 30 minutes ago. "I need help. Mason's a mess. Can you talk some sense into him?" My thumb hovers over Mason's message, muscle memory nearly taking over. For a heartbeat, I consider what I've always done: step in, smooth things over, absorb the blame, fix the unfixable. Instead, I open my contacts. I find Mason's name and press block contact. The screen asks if I'm sure. I've never been more certain of anything. I block Dad next, then Mom, then Brooke. Each tap feels down a heavy burden I've carried so long I forgot it wasn't mine. I call the front desk. "Hello, this is room 342. I'd like to extend my stay by 4 more days, please." Afterward, I take a selfie by the fireplace, the flames casting a warm glow across my face. I've never looked more at peace. I post it with a caption that would have been unthinkable just days ago. 0 regrets, 100% peace. Then I silence my phone, place it on the nightstand, and for the first time in my adult life, I sleep without waiting for it to ring. I'm halfway down Silverado, a blue run that would have terrified me a week ago, when my phone vibrates against my thigh. For a blissful moment, I consider ignoring it like the 14 other calls I've let go to voicemail. But something, that old, familiar sense of responsibility, makes me slow my descent and pull to the side of the trail. Grandma May's name lights up my screen. Unlike the others, she deserves an answer. Monroe. Her voice crackles with a mix of relief and concern. "They're losing their minds trying to reach you." I watch a father and daughter glide past, their laughter carrying on the crisp mountain air. I needed some space. "Space?" she snorts. "Your brother has left 17 voicemails, started with, 'How could you do this to me?' and has worked his way to, 'Please, I need you.'" Her voice softens. "Your father even sent an apology text. Your mother made him, of course, but still." I close my eyes, feeling the sun warm my face. "And Brooke? Her sister showed up at your apartment yesterday. Thought you might be hiding out." Grandma's laugh is sharp and knowing. "Found nothing but your neighbor watering your plants." I asked Diane to check on them, I murmur, watching a snow bunny hop between pine trees. "Where are you, honey?" For the first time in days, I smile. A real smile that reaches my eyes. Somewhere I should have gone years ago. Perfect form. Victor, my ski instructor, calls as I navigate the final turn. 3 days ago, he'd patiently helped me up after countless falls on the bunny slope. Today, I'm carving confident turns down a run aptly named Freedom. "See you at the lodge for après-ski?" he asks as we reach the bottom. Wouldn't miss it, I reply, surprising myself with how quickly I've fallen into this new routine. The lodge staff know me now. Emma at the front desk saves me the morning paper. Paolo remembers my coffee order. And Jeanette, the concierge, stops me with recommendations for dinner spots. Monroe, Jeanette waves as I enter the lobby. The Hendersons wondered if you'd join them tonight. They're doing a family dinner at their cabin and thought you might enjoy a home-cooked meal. I pause, momentarily confused by the invitation. The Hendersons, a retired couple I'd chatted with during a snowshoe tour, have no obligation to me. They want nothing fixed, designed, or solved. They simply enjoyed my company. I'd love to, I answer, and the simplicity of the exchange nearly brings tears to my eyes. Later in my room, I open the leather-bound journal I purchased in the gift shop. I flip past days of entries, watching my handwriting transform from shaky and uncertain to bold and flowing. Day 1. Arrived broken, wondering if I've made a terrible mistake. Day 5. Skied my first blue run today. Fell twice. Got up twice. No one seemed disappointed in me. Day 7. I recognize my reflection again. I press my pen to a fresh page. Day 8. The woman who arrived is not the woman who will leave. Dr. Winters watches me from across her sunlit office in the resort's wellness center. You've made a deliberate choice to disengage, she says. It's not a question. I nod, turning my silenced phone over in my hands. 67 notifications. I haven't opened a single one. Tell me about your family, she suggests. The unfiltered version. And I do. The words pour out like spring run of 18 months of care packages during Mason's deployment, the money I'd transferred without hesitation, the invitations I'd designed without compensation, the birthdays I'd missed to meet their demands, the savings account I've depleted solving their emergencies. Going back to those patterns would be self-destruction, I conclude, surprised by my own certainty. Dr. Winters nods. And yet, they're realizing what they've lost. Are they? I ask, not entirely convinced. People rarely change until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of changing, she replies. Your absence has tipped that balance. A new message from Tara appears as I settle by the stone fireplace with a book. Grandma May's moved into your parents' guest room. Says she's setting things straight. Dad nearly had an aneurysm. I smile, picturing my grandmother's take-no-prisoners approach. Another message follows quickly. Mason admitted to your dad that they've taken you for granted. Dad actually agreed. I nearly fell off my chair. Before I can respond, a video message arrives from Brooke. I hesitate, then play. Her face appears, eyes red and puffy. Monroe, she begins, voice breaking. I've been awful to you. Not just about the party for months. Years, really. She wipes her eyes with the back of her hand. No careful makeup, no rehearsed speech. I don't know why you'd forgive me, but I hope you'll let me try to make it right. I set my phone down, emotions swirling. As I reach for my wine glass, the front desk calls. Miss Taylor, there's a delivery for you. Downstairs, the clerk hands me a cream-colored envelope addressed in Mason's unmistakable handwriting. I trace my finger over my name, written with unusual care. Inside, a single page begins. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I need to try. I stand motionless in the grand lobby, snow falling softly beyond the windows, wondering how long the journey back to forgiveness should take, and whether immediate reconciliation would heal or harm us both. I fold my last sweater, the cream cashmere I treated myself to at the lodge boutique, and tuck it into my suitcase. 9 days ago, I threw clothes into the same bag, with trembling hands and tear-blurred vision. Today, my movements are measured, deliberate. The woman who fled here barely resembles the one preparing to return. My phone buzzes. Dad again. Just checking what time we should pick you up tomorrow, his text reads. I type my response without hesitation. No need. I've arranged a rental car. 3 dots appear, disappear then. Seems unnecessary. We don't mind. I do, I reply, then silence my notifications. Control begins with small decisions. The rental car, the neutral meeting location. The terms of re-engagement after what they're all calling your little breakdown, as if standing up for myself could only be explained by mental fragility. From my balcony, I take one last look at the mountains that witnessed my transformation. Tomorrow, I'll meet my family at Meridian Coffee Shop, not our kitchen table, where I've swallowed criticisms with Sunday pancakes for 3 decades. Thank you, I whisper to the peaks silhouetted against the twilight sky. I spot them through Meridian's window before entering, Dad checking his watch, Mom nervously stirring her tea, Mason with his arm around Brooke, who's scrolling through her phone. Their tableau of impatience so familiar, it almost pulls me back into old patterns. I straighten my shoulders and push open the door. Monroe. Mom spots me first, half rising with that anxious smile. We saved you your favorite corner spot. I slide into the empty chair, setting down my leather portfolio with deliberate care. The weight of it grounds me. You look different, Mason says, squinting slightly. Skiing agrees with me, I answer, making eye contact with the barista instead of my brother. Well, Dad clears his throat, taking charge as expected. Let's just put this unfortunate business behind us. Your mother's been beside herself, and Mason and Brooke need help planning the rescheduled engagement party. Brooke nods eagerly. We're thinking the first weekend in April. I've already created a spreadsheet of tasks. I've highlighted yours in yellow. My mother reaches across the table, her fingers trembling slightly as they cover mine. Sweetheart, please. The family needs to stay together, especially with everything that's happened. I gently remove my hand from beneath hers and open my portfolio. Before we move forward, we need to address what happened. Monroe, Dad warns, dwelling on unpleasantness. I'm not dwelling, I interrupt, my voice quiet but firm. I'm establishing context. I withdraw a sheet of paper from my portfolio. On the 16th of February last year, Mason called at 3 a.m. from Germany because his bank card was compromised. I transferred $2,000 from my emergency fund within 10 minutes. I look directly at my brother. That loan remains unpaid. Mason shifts uncomfortably. I've been meaning to. Last September, I continue. I missed Diane's birthday dinner to finish your engagement announcement because Brooke wasn't feeling the professional design you'd already paid for. I placed my phone on the table, screen up. And here are the texts from Dad telling me to not make this a thing when I was excluded from a 120-person engagement party. Silence falls across our table, heavy and unfamiliar. My family stares at me as if I've suddenly started speaking a foreign language. I'm not here to accuse, I say, folding my hands on the table. I'm here to establish boundaries. Dad's face reddens. Now see here. No, Jack. Mom interjects with uncharacteristic firmness. Let her speak. I pull out another sheet of paper and place it beside the first. This is what I need from each of you moving forward. They lean forward almost in unison, eyes scanning the typed list. 1. Acknowledgement of my time, effort, and contributions. 2. Advance notice for family events, minimum 2 weeks. 3. Repayment of outstanding loans within 6 months. 4. No more free design work family discount of 25% only. 5. Respect for my no without guilt trips or manipulation. If these boundaries are crossed, I continue. I will limit contact until the behavior changes. I've learned that love without respect isn't sustainable. And if we refuse this ultimatum, Dad's voice wavers between anger and disbelief. Then you'll be making a choice about what kind of relationship you want with me. I straighten the papers with steady hands, and I'll respect your choice by making my own. Mason wipes an unexpected tear. Monroe, I didn't realize. I know, I say, softening slightly. That's part of the problem. These seem reasonable, Mom offers tentatively, glancing at Dad. Brooke's perfectly shaped eyebrows arch high. So you're not helping with the wedding planning, after everything that's happened? I'll help within these parameters, I answer. But there's something else. I've accepted a 6-month design contract in Colorado. I start next month. You're leaving? Dad's fist hits the table, rattling our cups. Just like that? I'm pursuing an opportunity, I correct him. Just like you always encouraged Mason to do. Dad opens his mouth, closes it, then slumps back in his chair. Mason leans forward, eyes rimmed red. I've been a terrible brother, haven't I? Before I can answer, the coffee shop door swings open, and Grandma May makes her entrance, impeccably timed as always. Well, look at you, she says, her eyes appraising me with approval. About time someone stood up for themselves in this family. She pulls up a chair from the neighboring table and wedges it between Dad and me. Now, she says, placing her weathered hands flat on the table, let's talk about how this family moves forward with a little more equity and a lot more respect. I catch my reflection in the window, shoulders back, chin level, eyes clear. The mountains gave me this gift, a woman who finally values herself enough to demand others do the same. Mountains frame my view as I adjust the blinds in my Colorado apartment. 6 months in this place, and the sight still steals my breath. The crisp February air seeps through an inch of open window, a luxury. I never allowed myself back home where I paid the heating bills my parents claimed they couldn't afford. I run my fingers along the row of postcards pinned to my cork wall. Aspen, Boulder, Santa Fe, Denver. Places I've visited since claiming my independence. Each one a milestone marking distance from the girl who'd cancel plans at the first hint of family need. My phone lights up with Mom's weekly video call. I take a deep breath before answering, remembering my therapist's advice. Boundaries aren't walls, they're doors you control. Monroe? Mom's face fills the screen, her hair freshly colored for the church potluck. You look rested. I am. No explanation, no apology, that's new too. Your father asked about your project for that coffee company. She pauses, fumbling with her reading glasses. He saw their billboard off Highway 40. Said it had your signature style. 6 months ago, I'd have launched into an extended explanation, seeking validation. Today, I just smile. It was a good client. They've already commissioned 3 more designs. A notification slides across my screen, a text from Mason. Sample wedding invitations came today. Using your color scheme suggestion. Thanks, sis. No desperate plea for help. No last-minute crisis. Just acknowledgement. Progress. After we hang up, I open my laptop to an email from Tara with apartment listings in Denver. Consider me as a roommate, she's written. Colorado looks good on you. I sip my coffee and allow myself a moment of quiet pride. The family that once saw me only as a utility has begun the awkward, imperfect work of seeing me as a person. Grandma May's weekly letter sits unopened on my counter, her elegant cursive visible through the envelope. Her correspondence has been my anchor through this transition. Last week she wrote, "Your father actually asked me how to make your mother's birthday special without putting the burden on you. First time in 40 years that man's asked for advice." I tucked the letter into my journal for later, savoring the anticipation. Today is for focus. My design business has tripled since moving here. Clients who value my boundaries lining up for my services. The invitation sits on my coffee table, Mason and Brooks' revised wedding plans. A simple ceremony, 30 guests. My name on the envelope in Mason's handwriting, not Brooks' mother's secretary's. I haven't decided yet. My therapist nodded thoughtfully when I showed it to her. Attending doesn't mean returning to old patterns, she reminded me. Hotels exist for a reason. Later, I'll meet with Jenna, a design student struggling with family expectations. She reminds me of myself, talented but hesitant to claim space. The scholarship I established at the local college connected us. You're helping me give myself permission, she told me last week. A familiar heaviness tries to settle on my shoulders as I remember next week's women's retreat where I'm speaking about boundaries. The old Monroe would panic at being seen as an expert on something she'd only recently mastered. But that was before. Instead, I closed my eyes and practiced my evening gratitude ritual. Thankful for courage, for mountains, for the quiet satisfaction of a life that belongs to me. Through the window, the setting sun paints my walls, copper the same metallic shade I was perfecting on Mason's original invitations the day everything changed. I rest my hand on the invitation. Tomorrow, I'll book a hotel room in my hometown and RSVP yes. Not because I'm needed, but because I choose to go. Sometimes the greatest act of love is learning to love yourself first. The autumn sun warms my face as I walk toward my mailbox. golden light filtering through maple leaves that dance in the October breeze. My hand trembles slightly as I pull out my phone, tapping the notification that's been burning in my pocket all morning. The university seal appears, followed by formal text that blurs before my eyes. Congratulations, Ella Whitmore. Based on your exemplary academic record, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected as valedictorian. My knees weaken. 4 years of perfect grades flash before me: the all-night study sessions, the shifts at the campus bookstore, the weekends spent writing papers while friends went to football games. All those moments when I chose work over rest because my parents wouldn't cover what my partial scholarship didn't. 1 BS. And now this. Before I can think better of it, my finger hovers over my parents' contact. Despite everything, despite the years of disappointments, my heart pounds with renewed hope. They have to care about this. They have to. The phone rings 4 times before clicking to voicemail. My mother's cheerful voice plays the familiar greeting. You've reached Robert and Linda Whitmore. We can't come to the phone right now. I lower myself onto the bench outside my apartment building, gaze drifting to the wall visible through my open door. Photos I've carefully framed hang in a neat row: my high school honors ceremony with 2 conspicuously empty chairs in the family section, my college acceptance letter that I celebrated with my roommate instead of my parents, my sophomore year journalism award ceremony, where Professor Jenkins sat where my father should have been. My mind drifts back to 6 years ago. I stood on stage at 17, the heavy academic decathlon state champion medal hanging around my neck. My eyes scanned the audience seats where my parents promised they'd sit. Front row, center section. The plastic chairs remained empty throughout the entire ceremony. Principal Garfield's hand on my shoulder felt like pity as I accepted the medal alone. The following weekend, I overheard my mother on the phone with my aunt. Madison was just wonderful in the junior varsity exhibition. You should have seen how proudly she waved those pom-poms. Robert recorded the whole thing. Their voices carried from downstairs, bright with enthusiasm they never showed for my achievements. While they drove Madison to dance competitions across 3 states, I sat alone at our kitchen table, surrounded by college brochures, scholarship applications, and financial aid forms. My careful handwriting filled page after page, no parent's signature in the spots marked guardian. Now, I pull myself up from the bench and walk to my desk. My calligraphy pens, a splurge from my first bookstore paycheck, lie in their wooden case. I select the finest nib, dip it in ink the color of midnight, and begin addressing formal invitations on thick cream paper. The graduation ceremony details flow from my pen in elegant curves and precise lines. 2 hours later, my roommate is driving my ancient Honda to my parents' suburb, invitation in hand. My mother answers the door in workout clothes, surprise crossing her features before she calls for my father. Ella, this is unexpected, she says, voice rising at the end like a question. I hold out the invitation, the envelope weighty in my palm. I wanted to deliver this personally. I'm valedictorian. My father appears behind her, half listening as he checks his watch. That's wonderful, honey. The ceremony is next month, I continue, my voice steadier than I expect. There's a special section reserved for valedictorian families. Thanks for watching. They exchange glances before my mother takes the envelope, nodding. Of course we'll be there. We wouldn't miss it, she says with the casual confidence of someone making promises they don't value. I swallow hard, the words I've rehearsed finally breaking free. It would mean everything to have you there. I've earned this moment. My father nods distractedly, already pulling out his phone. Let me check something. His fingers move quickly over the screen. Madison has a college recruitment weekend for cheer around then. What were the dates again? They exchange another glance, a silent communication perfected over years. My mother's eyes shift back to me with practiced brightness. We'll make it work, sweetie. From the doorway to the kitchen, I sense movement. Hannah, my roommate since freshman year, watches the familiar scene unfold. She drove me here after I admitted my hands were shaking too badly to manage the steering wheel alone. In her eyes, I see recognition of a pattern I still can't fully acknowledge: the dance of hope and disappointment I've performed since childhood. I straighten my shoulders, clutching my car keys tightly enough to leave indentations on my palm. This graduation, this speech, my final attempt to win their meaningful attention. After this, I'll be gone to New York, to graduate school, to a life where I won't need to beg for the recognition I've earned. But not yet. Not quite yet. 3 days before graduation, my phone vibrates against my desk. Dad's name appears on the screen, sending a ridiculous flutter of hope through my chest. It's been 2 weeks since I delivered their invitation. "Hey, Dad," I answer, keeping my voice deliberately casual. "Ella," he says, his tone flat. "Listen, your mother and I have been talking." I sink onto my bed, fingers tightening around the phone. Something in his voice makes my stomach twist. "We've been so busy with Madison's college visits," he continues, words flowing faster. "All these cheer recruitment weekends, you know how it is. Honestly, we're just too tired to make the trip." My body slides down until I'm sitting on the floor, back pressed against the wall. My lips form words without my brain's involvement. I understand. "That's my girl, always so reasonable." Relief colors his voice. "We'll catch the live stream. Promise." After hanging up, I remain motionless, nodding mechanically as if he can still see me. The next morning, bleary from another sleepless night, I scroll through Instagram while waiting for coffee to brew. A splash of color catches my attention. Mom's account rarely updates, but there's a new post from yesterday. The timestamp makes me freeze. 2:13 p.m. Mom and Madison, holding champagne flutes aloft, identical smiles beneath identical sunglasses. The caption reads, "Much needed mother-daughter spa day. Treat yourself." I swipe to the next photo. Dad joining them at an upscale restaurant downtown, Madison between them, all three laughing. Timestamp, 5:47 p.m. During his call. Not before, not after. This isn't about being tired. It's a choice, the same one they've always made. Later, I find myself in the university library bathroom, locked in the furthest stall, phone in my trembling hands. Years of family photos fill my screen as I scroll backward through time. The pattern emerges with painful clarity. In every image, Madison stands centered, my parents leaning toward her like plants seeking sunlight. I exist at the edges when I appear at all, the half-face behind a shoulder, the blur of movement, often the one taking the photo. I keep scrolling, methodically noting dates. My high school graduation. Parents absent due to Madison's regional cheer competition. My journalism award. Parents visiting Madison at cheer camp. My 18th birthday. Parents at Madison's summer showcase. The bathroom door creaks open. "Ella?" Daniel's voice echoes against the tile. "Hannah said you might be in here." "Women's restroom," I call back, voice steadier than I feel. "Nobody else is here. Can I come in?" When I don't answer, his footsteps approach my stall. Through the gap, I see him slide down to sit on the floor, back against the opposite wall. "I did some research," he says quietly. 11 Instagram posts. Your parents celebrated 11 of Madison's achievements on days you had comparable ones they missed. I unlock the stall door with numb fingers. Daniel looks up, his expression gentle but unflinching. "They've never seen you clearly, Ella," he says. "It's not because you weren't worth seeing." The words land like a physical blow. Truth spoken aloud transforms from suspicion to reality. Walking across campus later, Daniel beside me, I voice the question that's been circling my mind. What happens if I just accept it again? Keep the peace? "You preserve the illusion of family harmony," he answers, "and lose another piece of yourself." But if I challenge them now, my voice catches. I risk losing what little connection we have. Hannah meets us at the coffee shop, sliding into the booth with her usual directness. "You're spiraling again." "What's the point of accomplishing anything if the people who should care most don't notice?" I ask, stirring my untouched coffee. She places her hand over mine, stilling the anxious movement. "Your graduate school scholarship depends on graduating with honors. That journalism program in New York is your ticket out. This is your last chance to speak your truth before leaving their orbit completely." That evening, Daniel arrives at my door carrying 2 cardboard boxes. "Found these at your parents' house last time I helped you move stuff. You never unpacked them." Inside, family albums from my childhood. I spread them across my floor, tracking the visual evidence of my gradual erasure. In the earliest photos, before Madison was born, I occupied the center of every frame, my parents' arms wrapped securely around me. After her birth, the shift subtle at first, then unmistakable as I was edged toward the margins, eventually disappearing altogether. As I flipped through those old albums that night, seeing how things changed after Madison came along, I faced a choice that many of you might recognize. Do I give my graduation speech as written safe, grateful, forgettable, or do I finally speak the truth about invisibility in my own family? Keeping the peace seemed easier, But at what point does silence become a form of self-betrayal? The morning of my graduation breaks with cruel perfection, sunlight streaming through my dorm window, highlighting the cap and gown hanging on my closet door. My phone chimes with a notification, the sound now triggering an instinctive tightening in my chest. I tap the screen with resignation. My parents' Instagram post appears. So proud of Madison securing that prestigious summer internship at Coastal Marketing. Our girl continues to amaze us. Number proud parents, number future leader. Posted 30 minutes ago. On my graduation morning. The text from mom arrives as I'm brushing my teeth. Toothpaste foam bitter on my tongue. We'll watch the live stream if we can. Send us photos. If they can. As if my graduation competes with grocery shopping or a casual lunch, I spit into the sink, watching the white foam spiral down the drain like my expectations. Hannah appears in the bathroom doorway, already dressed in her graduation gown. Your sister's calling, she says, holding out my phone like it might bite her. I wipe my mouth and take the call, pressing the speaker button as I continue getting ready. Ella! I'm trying to decide which outfit looks best in photos. Madison's voice fills the small bathroom. The coral sundress or the white one with the belt. I need to look perfect for my Instagram post about your thing. Your thing. Hannah mouths silently, exchanging a knowing glance with Daniel, who appears behind her with coffee. The coral. I answer mechanically. Madison, I have to finish getting. Perfect. That's what I was thinking too. I'm going to tag it number proud sister. Should I mention your validating or whatever it's called? Valedictorian, I correct, my voice tight. Right, that. Okay, gotta run. The call ends. Minutes later, Dad's text arrives. Congrats on being valedictorian. Your mother and I are proud. He couldn't even spell it correctly. Daniel hands me the coffee, his fingers lingering against mine. You okay? I nod, but we both know it's a lie. The truth lives in the shadows under my eyes. Evidence of another sleepless night. 3 pounds lost this month alone. The new stutter that emerges whenever family discussions arise, something my body created when my mind couldn't process any more disappointment. Did you pick up my graduation announcement? I ask, hating the way my tongue betrays me. Yesterday, Daniel confirms. And I added the extra 50 copies you ordered, though I still don't understand why. Because they promised to help with expenses, I say, voice sharper than intended, just like they promised to help with tuition, with books, with housing. Each broken promise stacks like bricks on my shoulders. I picked up an extra shift at the bookstore to cover it. Hannah frowns. That's your 3rd extra shift this week. When did you sleep? I gesture toward my desk, where 2 versions of my valedictorian speech sit side by side, between drafts. The safe version thanks the university, mentions supportive family in generic terms, offers inspirational platitudes about future success. The honest version, the one I revise at 3 a.m. when truth feels less dangerous, speaks of invisibility, of achievement as desperate currency, of learning self-worth when external validation never comes. Dr. Mercer, my academic advisor, stopped me after our final meeting last week. You seem different, she said, her eyes searching mine. My office is always open, even after graduation. I thanked her politely and hurried away before she could see the tears threatening. Another offer of support I didn't know how to accept. 2 nights ago, Daniel found me asleep at a library table, surrounded by discarded speech drafts. Each version more honest than the last, each one more likely to burn bridges I'm not sure I can afford to lose. You don't have to protect them anymore, he whispered as he gathered the papers, thinking I was still asleep. They haven't earned it. The morning passes in a blur of bobby pins and uncomfortable shoes. Hannah appears at my side as I adjust my cap, holding a small velvet box. I was going to save this for after, she says, opening it to reveal a delicate silver pendant. But I think you need it now. The pendant gleams in the morning light, words engraved in flowing script. Your truth matters. Tears blur my vision as Hannah fastens it around my neck. First graduation gift? I manage, touching it gently. Just so you know, Hannah adds with a sudden grin, I bought balcony tickets to this speech, front row for whatever version you decide to give. We laugh, the sound strange and light in a room that's held so much heaviness. In the preparation room before the ceremony, I sit alone, both speeches laid out before me. The safe version, neat, pristine, inoffensive.
The honest version, crossed out, rewritten, coffee-stained, alive with truth. Daniel slips in, closing the door quietly behind him. Which version are you giving today? I stare at the papers, at 4 years of perfect grades and empty seats. I've spent my whole life being the agreeable daughter who never caused waves. I say slowly, what has it gotten me? Daniel doesn't answer. Instead, he places my phone beside the speeches, open to my parents' latest post-champagne glasses raised at a luxury spa, time-stamped an hour ago. Just relaxing before watching our girl's big moment on live stream. Number self-care. Something shifts inside me, tectonic plates realigning. I pick up the safe speech and tear it cleanly in half. The sound sharp and final in the quiet room. I meet my reflection in the mirror, surprised to find my gaze steady, my voice clear and stutter-free for the first time in weeks. They can ignore me, but they can't make me invisible to myself anymore. Outside, Hannah has worked miracles. Mrs. Polanski and Mr. Winters, elderly neighbors from my hometown who watched me grow up, sit proudly in the family section. They wave when they spot me peeking through the curtain. Daniel moves efficiently through the auditorium, checking camera angles, ensuring the live stream captures not just the podium but the reserved family seats, 3 chairs marked with a prominent Whitmore family sign, painfully empty under the bright lights. Professor Jenkins, who became my mentor after I took her investigative journalism course, quietly moves her husband and daughter to make room in the special faculty section, leaving an open spot beside her with my name. The contrast strikes me like physical pain, strangers and chosen family filling spaces. My biological family left empty, their absence more present than they've ever been. My hand finds the honest speech tucked inside my graduation robe, steadier than it's been in weeks. 4 years of documented incidents rest in a folder in my bag, screenshots, time-stamped absences, a pattern of neglect made undeniable through simple documentation. As my name is announced, I rise, the pendant warm against my skin. The camera pans across the audience, lingering meaningfully on 3 prominently empty chairs, the Whitmore family sign clearly visible to anyone watching the live stream. I walk toward the podium, toward truth, toward whatever comes after. The university auditorium vibrates with anticipation as I approach the podium. Each step feels like a declaration of war against years of invisibility. My graduation robe, heavy with honors cords, swishes against my legs as I walk. The stage lights warm my face, but my spine remains ice-cold with determination. I place my speech on the wooden podium, its surface polished to a mirror shine. My gaze sweeps across the sea of faces before settling deliberately on the camera positioned at the back of the hall. The red recording light blinks steadily, my direct line to the family who couldn't be bothered to attend. Distinguished faculty, honored guests, and fellow graduates. I begin, my voice carrying clearly through the microphone. The formality establishes my authority, sets the tone for what's to come. I acknowledge the university president by name, thank the academic board individually, professional, measured, deliberate. The audience settles into a silence so complete I can hear the air conditioning humming overhead. They sense something different in my tone. This isn't the typical grateful platitudes of a valedictorian speech. The expressions in the front rows shift from polite attention to genuine curiosity. I take a deep breath. Today, I want to talk about what it means to be invisible in plain sight. My phone vibrates against the podium halfway through my speech. The screen lights up with my mother's name. I glance down at her message. Couldn't you just thank us like normal graduates do? Without hesitation, I lift my phone, display the message to the audience. This is what I received instead of their presence today. My voice doesn't waver. Not congratulations. Not pride, but a request to pretend everything is normal. A murmur ripples through the crowd. In the family section, Mrs. Fitzgerald and Mr. Donnelly, elderly neighbors from my hometown, who drove 3 hours to be here, nod in solemn recognition. They've witnessed this pattern for years. The projector screen behind me flickers with a notification. Someone in the audience has shared Madison's defensive Instagram comment posted seconds ago. My sister always had to make everything about her. Some of us have actual commitments. I turn to look at it, then back to the audience. When you speak your truth, those who fear it will try to silence you. They'll reframe your honesty as attention-seeking. They'll position their choices as more important than your pain. I pause, letting the words sink in. But their reaction doesn't invalidate your experience. It confirms it. The silence deepens as I grip the edges of the podium, my knuckles whitening slightly. I look directly at those empty seats in the front row, the placard with Whitmore family still taped in place. As I stand at this podium, looking at those empty seats that represent a lifetime of absences, I wonder, is forgiveness possible without acknowledgement of harm? Can family bonds heal if only one person is doing the work of repair? From the corner of my eye, I spot Hannah standing at the back of the auditorium, her phone held steady as she live streams. Her free hand forms a small thumbs up. Beside her, Daniel angles his camera to capture both my speech and the conspicuously vacant family section. They're documenting everything, ensuring my truth can't be rewritten later. Professor Jenkins sits in the front row where faculty members gather. When my voice catches slightly on the word family, she gives me an almost imperceptible nod. The corner of her mouth lifts in encouragement, the same expression she wore when I submitted my first article for the university paper Belief in My Voice when I struggled to believe in it myself. Their strategic positions throughout the auditorium create a net of support. No angle of this moment will go unrecorded, no reaction uncaptured. This isn't just a speech, it's testimony. As I conclude, the university president approaches the podium. His handshake is firm, his voice carrying clearly into the microphone. Miss. Whitmore's courage today reminds us that education isn't just about academic excellence, but about finding and speaking our truths, however difficult. He turns to face me directly. Thank you for that lesson. The applause thunders through the hall as I exit the stage, diploma case clutched against my chest like a shield. My phone buzzes again, before I've even reached the reception area. Madison's name appears on screen, not our parents'. Her voice sounds different when I answer, less certain, missing its usual edge of superiority. Ella. She says, I saw your speech. Mom and Dad aren't saying anything, but their friends are texting them non-stop. I remain silent, letting her fill the space. I'm driving to campus, she continues, her voice smaller than I've ever heard it. Alone. Can we talk? Face to face? As I consider her request, notifications flood my phone. Mrs. Baxter, who taught us both piano for years, Mr. Collins from the neighborhood association, even my mother's oldest friend from college, all with variations of the same message. We always saw you, Ella. We're sorry no one said anything sooner. The fortress my parents built around their behavior is showing its first cracks. And now Madison wants to meet without them. Yes, I tell her, my voice steady. I think it's time we talked. Madison arrives at my dorm room 2 hours after the ceremony, her cheerleading jacket wrapped tight around her shoulders despite the June heat. Her knuckles rap against my door with the precise rhythm of someone who rehearsed their entrance. You've embarrassed the entire family, she announces before I can speak. Her voice carries the practiced indignation of our mother's fundraising committee tone. Dad hasn't stopped pacing since your speech hit social media. I step aside to let her enter, noticing how her eyes dart to her phone, where notifications stack like building blocks. 3 missed calls from Mom and Dad flash across her screen. They sent you to clean up their mess? I ask, closing the door behind her. Madison tosses her hair back, the same gesture she's used since we were children playing in the sprinklers of our backyard. They thought you might listen to me since we're sisters. Her voice softens artificially. Look, they'll help with your graduate school expenses if you just post a public apology. Say it was stress or something. When I don't immediately respond, she sighs dramatically. You've always been jealous of me, but you'd never admit it. That's what this whole speech was about. Her final card lands with practiced precision. If you don't make this right, they'll cut ties completely. Is that what you want? To have no family at all? I walk to my desk without answering, slide open the bottom drawer, and lift out a leather-bound journal. The spine cracks slightly as I open it, pages worn from years of careful documentation. This might interest you, I say, placing it in her hands. Madison's expression shifts from confusion to shock as she flips through the meticulously organized pages. Each entry features a date, event title, and check marks under parents attended columns. What is this? Can I know? She whispers, though the answer is clear on the page. 4 years of high school events. I explain calmly. Mine, 42 total. Parents attended 9. Yours, 41 events. Parents attended 39. So. Her fingers trace the neat columns, landing on handwritten excuses beside each of my empty attendance boxes. Too tired. Work emergency. Your sister needs us more tonight. There are journals for each year of college, too, I add, nodding toward the stack on my shelf. Madison's mouth opens and closes without sound. She flips faster through the pages, as if searching for evidence that might contradict the pattern revealed in black and white. This isn't about jealousy, I tell her, my voice steadier than I expected. It's about being treated like I matter, too. I pull a letter from beneath my cap and gown hanging on my closet door. The graduate school in New York already offered me a full scholarship based on my academic record. I don't need their money. The words feel like freedom as they leave my mouth. And I don't need their approval anymore. Something shifts in Madison's eyes. For the first time, she looks at me without the shield of competition between us. I never knew you kept track, she says quietly. You never had to. The sun sinks lower outside my window, casting long shadows across the room when I make an unexpected offer. Daniel and Hannah are meeting me for dinner at Riverview in an hour. You should come. Madison hesitates, then nods. An hour later, we sit at a table overlooking the river. Daniel raises his water glass in a toast to my speech, his eyes warm with pride. Hannah passes fresh bread while describing a particularly moving moment from my address, her hands animated as she speaks. The part about finding your voice when others try to silence it? People were crying, Maddie. Your sister brought down the house. Madison watches our interactions like she's studying a foreign language. She barely touches her salmon as conversation flows around her, each comment revealing another piece of my life she knows nothing about. Remember when Professor Jenkins nominated you for that investigative journalism award last fall? Daniel asks, his hand resting comfortably on mine. Or the time you pulled 3 all-nighters to cover that corruption story for the university paper? Hannah adds, the dean personally called to congratulate you. With each story, Madison grows quieter. I catch her watching me laugh at Daniel's impression of my nervous pre-speech pacing. She studies how naturally Hannah finishes my sentences when I describe my upcoming move to New York. I never realized how little we knew about your life. Madison finally says, her voice barely audible above the restaurant noise. The admission hangs between us until her phone rings. She glances at the screen, then back at me before answering. Hi, Mom, she says, her eyes never leaving mine. A pause, then. No, I'm with Ella right now. Another pause. Actually, Mom, I think you need to listen to me for once. Her voice strengthens. Everything she said in that speech was true. I've seen the proof. The surprise on my face must be evident because Madison gives me a small, uncertain smile as she continues defending me to our mother. When she hangs up, the table falls silent. I feel neither triumph nor bitterness, only the calm acceptance of a truth finally acknowledged. They want a family meeting tomorrow. Madison says, setting down her phone. Dad sounded serious. She hesitates before asking, could I stay with you tonight? There's some stuff about being the golden child that isn't as golden as you might think. Later, as I prepare for tomorrow's confrontation, I carefully place my graduation honor cords on the table beside the journal's symbols of my achievement alongside evidence of their neglect. Tomorrow will bring consequences, but for the first time, I face my family without needing their validation to feel whole. Whatever bridges burn or heal in the morning, tonight I sleep soundly in the knowledge that my truth has finally been heard. The autumn sun filters through my window in a familiar dance of light, but everything else has changed. 3 months in New York, and my walls tell a new story. Instead of empty chairs and photographs, framed journalism pieces from the Metro Journal fill the spaces. My graduation photos show Hannah and Daniel flanking me, Professor Jenkins beaming from the side. I straighten my blouse, preparing for my first day as a junior writer. My phone rings, not my parents, but a therapy podcast host. We're recording in 3 minutes, Miss Whitmore, she says. I settle into my desk chair, notes spread before me. When the host asks about family estrangement, my voice remains steady, without the stutter that plagued me for years. Healing began when I stopped waiting for recognition and learned to see myself. I explain, the words flowing easily now. The absence of validation doesn't mean absence of value. After the interview, I check my email. The subject line makes my heart skip. Speaker invitation, Truth and Personal Narrative Symposium. My alma mater wants me to deliver the keynote address. 6 months ago, this invitation would have triggered frantic calls to my parents, desperate pleas for attendance. Today, I click accept without hesitation, marking the date in my meticulously kept calendar, now filled with professional goals rather than family disappointments. I run my fingers over the calendar squares. No more red X's marking parental absences. No more holding my breath waiting for maybe promises to materialize. The doorbell chimes that evening. Hannah stands in the hallway, overnight bag slung over her shoulder, Daniel behind her carrying a bottle of champagne. Surprise visit! Daniel transferred to NYU last week. Hannah announces, pulling me into a hug. We couldn't wait to celebrate your first Metro byline. We gather around my small kitchen table, 3 glasses catching the light. Hannah raises hers high. To seeing yourself clearly even when others don't. Daniel nods, adding, to your brave new chapter. I lift my glass, throat tight with unexpected emotion, and to building a family of choice when the family of origin fails. The glasses clink, a clearer sound than any validation I had sought for 23 years. 3 days later, a package arrives. Inside, a letter in my father's angular handwriting. I abandoned my own writing dreams at your age. He writes, watching you succeed triggered regrets I never acknowledged. That doesn't excuse my absence, but might explain it. A second envelope contains childhood photos I'd never seen me at 5, receiving a school award, at 7, displaying a story I'd written. My mother's note reads simply, I kept these hidden. I'm sorry. Madison's text arrives while I'm processing these offerings. Professor liked my essay on family dynamics. I cited your graduation speech. Weird, right? Talking soon? Our relationship isn't close but honest now. No longer defined by competition neither of us created. As I placed my father's letter in my desk drawer, neither rejecting nor embracing it, I wondered what true reconciliation requires. Is acknowledging past harm enough, or must there be consistent action to repair what was broken? And at what point do we accept that some relationships will never be what we needed them to be? That evening, I meet with journalism students I've begun mentoring. When Sophia shares her fear of writing about her difficult relationship with her grandmother, I recognize myself in her hesitation. Your truth matters, I tell her, echoing Hannah's words to me, even when it's uncomfortable.